Let's talk about as is, where is, and paperwork that goes with it. So this comes up a lot for various situations. Might be an investor selling, estate sales is another one where the trustees or the heirs that are inheriting the property don't have any background on the property and they just want to sell it as is, let alone bank owned or court ordered sales. So we've created a resource guide for you guys on basically how to manage those scenarios. And I'll just share my screen here and go over a couple of pieces. So, where did it go? Where's the document? Oh, moved over here. All right. So, as is residential purchase contract, we've created sort of a guide that talks about the key terms for the different types of files. So, a court version of an as is. If it's a court ordered sale, then you'll want to discuss that with the individual lawyer or who you're dealing with that's dealing with the court ordered sale. The bank or lender sale is where the bank like owns the property and they're selling it. So title will show in that name. They typically have their own purchase contract drafts by province with an as is, where is type schedule. This is just a guide you through either on the buy side or sell side how to manage expectations. These are certain things that people would normally expect to get. For example, an estoppel certificate that they will not get. And so the couple of things there, one of them is condo insurance. If it's a condo that the court is, bank is selling, they won't provide copies of insurance. So you as a buyer need to decide if that's going to affect your mortgage funding and perhaps go to the condo corp and pay and get those things themselves. But there is risks that go with that. But this guide is primarily geared to, explain those different scenarios and the points of discussion with your clients, mostly sellers, but obviously on the buy side, it impacts them as well. So this is the red line version of the area purchase contract. The one's updated last July 2025. So we've redlined all the respective components. Example, the seller reps and warrants on completion day, it'll be substantially the same as when it was accepted, and the attached and unattached goods will be in normal working order. No, you're not warranting that because it's as is, where is. It might be in a different condition. So each component of that, you have to write it out. It's not sufficient enough to just write a term that says as is, where is. The property is being bought or sold as is, where is. We do have that added, but the way the courts interpret these scenarios, and I've been in front of it a few times, is that if there's terms in the contract that contradict each other, now it's up for interpretation of the court. What was the intention of that agreement? Why did they leave these terms in if they drafted something to the contrary? So it leaves it up to the court, and it basically means a lot of lawyers are going to make money defending that. The cleaner you can make the paperwork, the less ambiguity there is. So we've created this on the res purchase contract, crossed out RPR, the cell won't do any other research, for example. The reps and warranties section is a big one that's crossed out there. And we've added in the buyers are purchasing property as is, where is, notwithstanding anything to the contrary that may be stated in the contract. They're eliminating the RPR section, RPR under 10.7 and 10.2. This is the other one related to tenancy. So we talked about that in the guide, but is if they're assuming a tenant or taking over, the buyer's agreeing to deal with a tenant that's in the property at their own cost and take on that obligation. And that's the main parts there. So last but not least, I wanted to cover those two pieces. So the tenancy schedule and the financing schedule are linked here to our YouTube videos where we go over the paperwork for those. But the default is vacant possession. So if there's not going to be vacant possession, you got to deal with that. And this is what a buyer will not be provided. RPR, disclosure of any known material latent defects. If you cross that out, you should get independent legal advice on that, whether or not it'll hold up in court if challenged in the individual, file basis, and then tenancy documentation. So use a tenancy schedule, but cross out vacant possession as well, and you would mark the tenancy schedule or financing schedule in the event that the seller, sorry, is offering like a VTB. So this might be a investor client or even a estate sale client. I've seen a few of those. I've actually bought a couple that way myself in my investing career where the vendors owned it free and clear, and they were offering the mortgage to us at a competitive rate to kind of make the deal attractive for us to purchase it. So as always, we're here if you got questions, but the end of the day, these guides are meant to be a guide, and each file is unique, and you should always seek independent legal advice on any individual file. But we're hoping this will help create some consistency to protect all parties for as is where is type sales.